Okay, with Darkest Dungeon releasing imminently, let's get a quick review of the release patch notes. So, what are they doing? New class, the Flagellant. That's great. Team compositions are more fun with more variants available to them. Adding additional characters is only going to be a positive. Final boss for Act 4 and 5 arriving. Fantastic. Ending cutscene and story content's great. Hearing Wayne June read the history of the characters in Darkest Dungeon is fantastic. So, of course, good for that. All right, let's see. Greatly improved new player experience, including a comprehensive tutorial update, new prologue, and rebalanced denial confession. Good. New players are going to... Anything we can do to get new players into games cleanly and efficiently with good tutorials and a clean understanding of the game mechanics is absolutely great for a game. Cosmetic unlock, sure. Infernal and Radiant torches. Haven't messed with these yet. This is difficulty setting. I'm very interested to see what these are going to be like. New deliverable, Hero Remains. That's kind of cool. So when you presumably this is when one of your characters fails or dies in a run, there's going to be something that remains of it, and that's going to be part of the game. Seems awesome. Corpse art, great. Custom key binding and remapping, super nice. You press a lot of the same buttons, and hopefully there's going to be like in buttons. That's what I would really like. Navigating the in screens with hotkeys would be great. Flame gameplay effects now vary by confession, sure. Flame gameplay effects now vary by confession. Oh, that's super cool. I almost skipped this because I wasn't tracking on what it meant. But this means each boss area you go to, so each boss run, so Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, the flame is going to do different things. In the same way that the cultist buffs are different and the, I think the bonus buffs are like the elite enemies are different too. So that should be pretty good. I don't know what that means. New language support, great. An inordinate amount of new barks, fun. Those are the character interactions, great. Okay, they redone the tutorial, awesome. The very first expedition is a prologue. Okay, cool. Go straight into Valley, then confession, nice. All right, denial, confession. This is the first one, right? Denial, only two full reads instead of 3. Only the Sprawl and Tangle does not require a trophy. Shackles have been rebalanced to be easier. No champions or antiquarian will appear in denial. Okay, so first one's going to be super easy, sure. Not in love with that. Probably means I can't replay this area ever again because it's going to be too boring, but okay, I get it. We want to walk people into the game. Ease them in. All right. Each hero has 3 alternate color palettes and weapon kits. Nice. Cosmetic unlocks are always welcome. And they're configurable later on. Awesome. This is what I wanted to hear about. The Radiant and Infernal Flames allow you to customize the difficulty of the game. The Radiant Flame is available at all Valley Inns and gives various gameplay boosts that can help you overcome any confession. Every time you fail a confession, the Radiant Flame gets stronger. Mounting the Radiant Flame reduces the candle score slightly, but it can be well worth it. Okay, so kind of a self-correcting mechanism for players who are getting their feet under and still understanding the game. So it gets easier and easier until they beat something. It's like it's a pity flame. That's cool. And then the Infernal Flame makes the game harder. There are 5 in total, each with a specific theme. Infernal Flames are unlocked at the Altar of Hope. Mounting them will give you a candle scoring bonus to the expedition. So higher loot in terms of meta progression, but harder runs. Good. I think the difficulty of Darkest Dungeon 2 at the end of the early access was just slightly too easy still. So looking forward to seeing what Darkness and Infernal Flames are going to do for us. Honor the fallen by bringing their remains to the next inn. You'll be rewarded with candles of hope. Cool. I was hoping for more of an interaction than that, but that's still nice. It's nice to have something interacting with the dead in this game. It's a big theme. All right. Candle earning and Altar of Hope balance changes. All abandoned run candle penalties have been removed. Nice. It's good. Earn candles by carrying your fallen hero's remains. Nice. First time victory bonuses for each confession increased. Good. I think the unlock system is a little bit of fun and a little bit of not fun. So I think giving players lots of candles to play through makes for a fun and rewarding meta unlock system. I think being forced to run things again and again repetitively is just not the way to go. So I think increasing candle bonuses is pretty reasonable. All right, increased region completion candle rewards, good. Valley completion candle rewards increase, good. Overall Altar of Hope price audit resulting in reducing prices of many unlocks. Yeah, good, exactly. It's just a little grindy. Makes sense. Hero unlock prices raised from 4 to 8, especially because a lot of players are just not going to full unlock, right? There's just not going to be a reason to. You're going to understand the game and have played through the game and possibly have beaten the game before getting all the unlocks, which means that some of the more interesting later trinkets and items you're just never going to see because you're not going to bother with it. So reducing this is going to allow more of those things to be in the game sooner. It doesn't make the game easier. It just makes the game more interesting. There's more things you could do. All right, hero unlock prices raised. Not so sure about that one. I guess this is going to be a huge candle sink, right? I guess we'll see about that one. I just told you guys why I like the cheap candles. We'll see. Hero alter tracks change first death blow resist upgrades to always be the first upgrade after the class unlock. Yeah, I didn't like the stat upgrades, the passive stat upgrades on the hero unlocks as a whole, as a mechanic. I liked all the things that let them behave differently, but I didn't like all the things that just made them better. So I liked all the path unlocks. I liked anything skill related, like the bounty hunter skill unlocks where they got different things that came out of that. What I don't enjoy is just like flat stat increases from this. I don't think we want that. The meta progression should be about variety and new experiences and less about just getting stronger over time. All right, no longer need to spend candles to leave the altar. Cool. All right, miscellaneous balance changes. Relationship, blessed, and cursed skills are now selected with weighted chance influenced by usage, meaning the most used skills are most likely to be chosen. Hey, I've been complaining about this for the last couple weeks when playing Darkest Dungeon 2. This is a huge change. Currently, the problem is you tend to have, if you have a negative relationship, you get one crappy skill that you don't want to use locked into your bar and you just never use it, and that's fine. But the worst problem is when you get a positive skill and then it's a positive skill that you didn't have on your bar and therefore are not planning to use, and it doesn't fit your comp. And then you have this bonus that you're supposed to be getting from this relationship that never interacts with your character again. So I think this will be good. It will make it worse for the cursed skills and better for the good skills, but it will feel the impact of the system. And if they think that's overpower or too penalizing to the player, they can always tune down the impact of the effects. But having the effects actually appear when that thing happens is good. Enemy advantage tuning pass. There's been a lot of passes on that. I'm kind of interested to see what enemy advantage ends up as. So far, it's mostly just been pure stats, damage, health, resistances, ability to inflict dots, that kind of thing. Meltdown hero stress now drops to 1. Okay. Not sure what that impacts quite yet. Overstress, meltdown, or resolute confers a 3-round stress resist buff afterwards. Also kind of weird. Resolute now heals 67%, was 50%, and gives a 3-round debuff resist buff. Okay. Does it still do the other things it does? Like give us the status effect? Meltdown affinity, okay, hold on. Does this mean that resolute no longer stress heals? Like stress cures? Because it says meltdown puts your stress to 1, and overstress, like one or the other, happens. And resolute heals you, but maybe doesn't give you a stress heal anymore? I'll have to see this in action. It's kind of tough to figure out from text. All right, meltdown affinity penalty to -3, still down from -4. That was in early access. Okay. This was pretty penalizing. The relationship aspect, if you did manage to overstress a character, it actually mostly happened earlier in the run or in areas where it didn't matter, like on the final boss fight. But still nice to see this adjusted a little bit. Adjusted overall affinity change rates to try to reduce current positive relationship heavy bias. We'll continue to monitor data after launch. That suggests an intent that I don't know if they had. I didn't know they had, which is if they want positive relationships and negative relationships to be roughly equal, or more favored, more likely to generate negative relationships. That's kind of wild. At the moment, it is pretty easy to get it, or it was pretty easy. I haven't obviously played the release quite yet. It was very easy to generate almost all positive relationships and to maintain them. So I don't mind this if there's decisions to be made. If the decision is just now it's everyone's a little bit harder and there's no change in that, I don't know how I feel about that. The negative relationships are fairly penalizing. The positive ones weren't that great. So I don't know. The overall impact was nice because it's just like this overall smoothing effect, little bits of healing, little bit of stress healing, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe that was part of why the game was running a little bit too easy. We'll see. Champion monsters will no longer appear until Confession 3+. I don't like this. The game is designed to be meta progression. You're designed to play each of these areas multiple times. Does this mean that as a player who's expecting to stream this a bunch, that I'm only going to be playing Confession 3, 4, 5? Because Confession 1 and Confession 2 are going to be just too easy because that the first boss is way too easy, and then there's no actual champion mobs in those areas. I don't like that change. This change does not appeal to me. Block diseases from happening in the valley, sure. Added more repair fight variety on the Gaunt side. That's kind of interesting. Reduce sluice appearance to 50% at any given inn. Okay. Rare combat items no longer show up in common combat item draw table road debris. No longer show up in common combat item draw table. Oh, I see. So you can't get really good items out of trash anymore. Sluice generation tuning, remove cultist chance, expanded academic study chance, and okay, no more easies. Sure, looks fun. Looking forward to sluice encounters. I think there's a lot of hidden potential in the sluice. I think it would be a fun place for them to add new content because you stumble into it blindly. So looking forward to that. Assist, resist, cultist, and oasis encounters. Added various quirk-driven choices. Good. Quirk-driven choices and encounters now show the name of the quirk that caused it. Excellent. So now we get to see the impact of these quirks. So quirks will feel more impactful. So far, Darkest Dungeon 1 quirks have felt more impactful mostly to me than Darkest Dungeon 2 quirks. So that's nice. New logic for choice selection, which will ensure that at least one hero will want to interact with the encounter. For example, you'll no longer arrive at the assist encounter desperate for flame and have all heroes want to leave. Thank God. This was so annoying. It's so annoying when your characters are behaving totally contrary to the goals of the game. You know, it was one thing to be penalized for doing a thing. It was another thing to have no option to do that because all your characters voted against it without consulting you. So that's really nice. All right. Thorough revamping of academic studies to ensure they're all beneficial generally, although not without some risk of downside to accompany the upside. I like academic studies right now. I like the crazy events that occur and trinkets that you get out of it and the whole deal for them. They're very thematically interesting in Darkest Dungeon. So I really hope that pass went well. Audited and redistributed which of the studies appear and which reasons. Cool. The exact academic study type can now be scouted and will appear on the minimap. Ooh, that's super cool. Because now you can, once you understand the rewards associated with the type of academic study they are, you can go and hunt the specific trinkets you want for the builds you're running or the specific whatevers that you care about. That's super cool. Some new items are exclusive to specific academic studies, including a new food item, new combat items, and new trinkets. Awesome. Hero stories. All hero stories except the Vestal have had their design and flow touched up. Additional barks and unique tokens have been added for improved telegraphing and clarity. I wonder where they got that feedback from. I certainly cannot be held responsible for hating every moment of the hero stories outside of the narration ones. So hopefully it looks like they've continued to keep the combat for hero stories. If they do that, hopefully their new design has touched that up because I found them one of the weakest parts of the game prior to this. Hero shrines will no longer generate if all heroes in the current party have completed their backstories. That's a nice feature. It's a node that isn't necessary after full unlock, so that's cool. Heroes have completed their backstories and have an exit option at hero shrines and can no longer earn a mastery point. Okay. Added a new hero goal for each new hero skill. New hero goals for each hero skill. What does that mean? Added new hero goals for each hero skill. I don't know what the hell that means. Does this mean that the goals they have each time they run through is based on what hero skills they have available to them? Hero goals that require skill use now only generate that when that skill has been unlocked. Oh, okay. So it was to fix some weird interaction where you had to do a thing, but you couldn't do the thing because it wasn't unlocked yet, maybe? I don't know. I don't really understand that one. An absolute ton of new lines for all characters. Sweet. Many edits for barks when using in items. Sweet. New in items, added new curio items, added a new combat item, Shred of Decency to help combat cultist worship. Sweet. Whiskey flask now always available at inns, so you have stress curing at inns. That's nice. Hoarder added new feature selections for vague and distant trinkets. Cool. Rearranged shop selection order for field hospitals, inns, and hoarder. Okay. Guardian fight now rewards relics and baubles. Okay. None of these are particularly impactful yet, or not as a whole, but like in each of these individual ones we're skipping through pretty quickly here. Don't really matter. The blood stress from horror now has a 100% chance to apply. Bone saw purchase price changed. Chalk dust is the default item pool, ignores dodge and applies a debuff preventing stealth. Okay, that's a little bit better. It was really garbage before. Combat items, stagecoach items. How do I make sense of that? We're in the combat item category, and this just says stagecoach items. Okay. Is this maybe a header and these are supposed to be beneath it? Maybe this is a missed header. Yeah, it's probably a missed header. Okay, now purchase with baubles along with price adjustments. Storage shrunk increased. Wait, purchase with baubles? I can't remember which is which, trinkets and baubles. Does this mean it's now using the trinket currency as opposed to the in-item currency? That would be nice if that were the case. Storage trunk got buffed. Good, it needed it. It was kind of garbage. The surgeon's mixing kit. Cool. All right, let's see what they've done with pets. I thought pets were kind of a missed opportunity, what I was seeing in the early access. I loved the idea of them, but the way they played wasn't particularly interesting, so I'm kind of curious if this has been changed. They have buffed them. This one's interesting. Generate crit tokens for killing corpses is something you can actually play into. I mean, they're all strong. It's just the effects are useful rather, but they're just kind of uninteresting how you go about putting them together. Okay, so these are just slight buffs to three pets. It's kind of doesn't really change the core problem with pets, I don't think, but we'll see on launch. Added change for lock strong box to drop from swine enemies. Oh, I don't know what a lock strong box is, but I'm interested to find out. All right, in items. A lot of balance changes that I don't think I'm going to read here. Any really big ones that stand out? I think as many affinity changes as you can get on in items is a good thing. And it would be nice if they were weighted. Things like maybe you could have some negative affinity changes in items, but they had very powerful effects like curing a shit ton of stress or healing or curing diseases or that kind of stuff. It'd be nice if I was making some nuanced decisions about, well, I really dislike this disease. I'm willing to risk some bad relationships from it. And because I gambled on that, and then I get the bad relationship, and the bad relationship causes a problem in a layer fight, and now I have a unit dead, and now I have a new guy at the next inn, and that's going to change how I engage with the boss. I'm looking forward to runs and stories like that. I don't think these changes are particularly moving towards that, though. Just a lot of small changes in balance. Maybe some of their in items were just too strong, like everyone was buying them, and some they were ignoring, and they buffed the weak ones and debuff the strong ones, but nothing's really sticking out of that particularly. All right, trinkets. There are some garbage trinkets in the game. There were lots of fun trinkets, and there were lots of kind of just weird trinkets. So let's see what we've got here. Some buffs on the first one. Strength token from Barbaric Yop is now guaranteed. I don't know if I know what Rotten Tomato does. Buffs. I hope it's again, it's the same. I could read through these, but it doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. These are going to be super nuanced. I guess I was trying to get a general gist of it. It would have been nice if there was like a summary underneath trinkets, like buffed them or some version of that, right? Inevitable end. Also, who knows the names of them on by heart? Like no one. Looks like some nerfs, some buffs. They're probably just, again, playing with, reacting to the data of what players were using. Cool. All right. Stealth will no longer protect the last hero monster on a team from attacks if they're the only remaining valid target. I didn't know you could do that. Could you do that versus bosses? That's hilarious. Meltdown affinity penalty has been reduced from -3 to -3 from -4. They already told us about that. Deathless quirk renamed to Defiant. Septus disease renamed to Hemic Rot. Okay. Ooh, some changes. Let's see. These better be buffs on the Grave Robber. Let's see. Lunge damage changed from 6 to 11 to 4 to 11. That's a lunge debuff. Thrown dagger debuffed. Is this trolling? Is this the wrong month? Is this April 1st? Thrown dagger damage down? This is another nerf and another nerf. Oh no. Sorry, these are increases. These two are increases. Okay. 2 nerfs, 2 buffs. Lunge damage increased. Lunge damage increased. Wait, why is this in here twice? Oh, this is Deadeye Lunge. All right, let me start that again because that's a bit awkward. Lunge Plus, which is upgraded lunge, damage range changed to 6 to 11 from 4 to 11. That's an increase. Okay. Oh my God. I'm recording this after a long stream, and I gotta say, my brain was just blown away by Grave Robber nerfs. I'm like, are you insane? Okay, thank God. All right. Changed to 4 to 7 from 3 to 7. All right. So, oh my God. It's a buff. I thought they were nerfing the Grave Robber. I'm like, do they just want no one to play this character ever? Okay. So lots of Grave Robber buffs on damage. Good. She needed it. She was really bad. Oh my God. They had me so worried here. All right. Lots and lots and lots of buffs. Okay, and these are the paths, right? So this is a Deadeye Grave Robber, has different impacts of these. The Nightsworn Grave Robber has impacts of these, and the Venom Drop Grave Robber has impacts of these. There is a bit of a problem with this, right? So Venom Drop Glint in the Dark versus Deadeye Glint in the Dark. This just looks like they modified the base skill and kept the modifiers. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't different scaling on skills by path. I know the path modifies some abilities, and that's fine, but I didn't want there to be it needs to make sense to the player, right? Because you can't track on like 4 or 5 different stat changes specifically and then have an additional complication on it. So that looks like it's just showing us, this is just an awkward way of writing out, here's how the impact of this change has related to each of the sub specs for the Grave Robber. All right, Hellion. Bloodlust buff duration increased. That's good. We pretty much never used Bloodlust. Breakthrough has been reworked. Good. It was an absolute garbage skill. Howling End no longer ignores block. Howling End Plus no longer ignores block or guard. Howling End now moves back 1 rank. Howling End now moves back. Okay. Yeah. This is a buff to if it bleeds, by the way. Yes, good. That needed a buff. These are good changes on the Hellion. Bloodlust and Breakthrough were underpowered. Howling End was extremely strong, and if it bleeds was weak. Those have all been changed in the right directions. Looks like they've been paying attention there. Highwayman Tracking Shot now removes Stealth. Tracking Shot plus increased duration of dodge prevention to 2 rounds. I don't think I used Tracking Shot, so that's probably fine. I think the Highwaymen probably needed nerfs, honestly. I think they're probably too strong, but hey, we'll take it. All right, let's see what they've done to the Plague Doctor. Cause of Death is no longer subject to crit damage adjustment penalties from trinkets. Cause of Death is no longer subject to crit. Okay, doesn't really change much. I think this is another failed heading here. I think this is supposed to be Runaway as the character. So there were 2 changes to the Plague Doctor, only to the Cause of Death skill. These are the Runaway changes. All right. This is 5 lines to tell me about backdraft changes. I don't think I've ever wanted to cast backdraft in my life. So these are 5 changes that I probably won't pay any attention to. To be fair, I've never wanted to bring the Runaway on a single one of my teams. So I do it occasionally just for the variety, but this does not seem like enough things to change the Runaway to make me want to play that character. But we'll see. I mean, we'll end up, I'm sure. Dots are really strong versus bosses is the only reason for the only exception to that, really. And her heal is okay, her cauterize heal. Anyway, let's see. The Vestal hasn't really changed much. Okay. A small change to Illumination. Cultists. So, because they didn't even touch a lot of the classes, and a lot of the classes released as is. How do I feel about that? I think if I looked at it, I bet you I could find some more class abilities that needed to be changed, but that's okay. It's going to be 1.0. There's going to be changes eventually. The classes are mostly pretty good. The weakest classes, the least fun classes right now are the Runaway and the Grave Robber, and the Grave Robber got a ton of buffs, and maybe the Runaway will get them at some point a bit later. Because, yeah, anyway. All right. Cultists. Ambushes at 0 Torch and Confessions 1 and 2 no longer contain a Deacon or Cardinal. That's good. Ambushes at 0 Torch and Confession 5 are now Exemplar fights. Oh, no. Okay. In Confession 5, you do not want to go to 0 Torch. The Exemplar is really nasty. Slightly increase the chance of Cardinal appearing at 2nd Oblivion Rampart. Okay. Increase the chance of Altar spawning in rank 1 at 2nd Oblivion's Rampart. That's fine. Doesn't really change much of anything, in my opinion, really. I mean, it makes it slightly harder, I guess. I think harder? Yeah. Evangelist, HP increase from 28 to the Evangelist. Have I seen the Evangelist? Oh, this is just a regular cultist. Okay, so these are, I thought this was a special unit, but these are types of cultists. The Evangelist is the front one with that does the bleed crits, right? They nerfed it. You shouldn't nerf Evangelists. Evangelists were, I thought, like perfectly tuned. They were annoying. They caused a chunk of stress and a big chunk of damage. You had to deal with them eventually. They had a lot of annoying tokens, but they were pretty reasonably fair, I thought. So I think this is a bit of a nerf to Evangelists. I don't know if they needed it. Slight nerf to Cherubs. So this is just a slight nerf to Cultists, huh? They nerfed the crap out of Altar. Single target buff instead of full party AoE. It's a bigger heal at Confession 3+. Altars were strong, but I kind of liked Cultists being strong. I liked them being, especially the Exemplar fights. The Exemplar fights were terrifying, which felt really good right before you're going into a boss, right? You know, you have this perfect comp that you've set up for this boss. You've farmed your way through the various regions, and you have something that's a bit of a monkey wrench in your plans, which were the Cultist fights. So I'm not thrilled to see them get nerfed. Herald got nerfed. Deacon got nerfed. Cardinal got nerfed. A lot of these got nerfed in the earlier confessions. That's weird to me because this is supposed to be roguelike meta progression, replaying different acts, but I guess the acts are actually getting harder, which will help new players but will hurt the replayability for older players. Oh well. Okay. Nerfs on the Exemplar. Exemplar was probably the scariest fight in the game outside of boss mechanics when you didn't know, boss fights when you didn't know the mechanics rather. Okay, Fanatics. No more than one hero can receive combo at any given time when her ladyship is present. Okay. Whip Trip now applies combo if her ladyship is present. Her ladyship has extra stuff. Librarian. Burn stacks will no longer die. Book stacks will no longer die when the librarian is defeated. Fisher Folk. Fog penalties have been reworked. Okay. 33% chance of one stress and one of blind, vulnerable, or nothing. Separate rolls for blind, vulnerable, and stress. Chance of stress heal on the fog lifts. And claiming Leviathan trophy will prevent fog from occurring. That's cool. Fog was a weird mechanic. I liked it. It was something different. But I like there's a little bit more interaction with it. It seems fun. Some individual rebalancing of the... what's the region called? Can't remember what it's called. Shroud, right? Of the Shroud region, yeah. I liked Shroud region. It was visually beautiful. The enemies are super creepy and weird, and I liked the challenge of some of the fights. The captain, the callback to Darkest Dungeon 1 super villain, super mob was in there too that I really liked. There's a bunch of things in there I liked. I hope they didn't nerf it too much. I'm always worried about nerfs. I don't want Darkest Dungeon 2 to be easy, and I think it's a little bit too easy as it was in early access. So I'm kind of hoping that I see that the later acts make up for the nerfs that they're giving a lot of the stuff here. Batter stress damage reduced. Stress damage chance reduced. Eye of the Storm no longer gives guard or stealth. Undertow no longer ignores guard or stealth. I mean, so there's going to be a new mechanic here. If Undertow no longer... I mean, I don't know. Maybe they can grab the other guy. I guess it doesn't have to be a debuff for it. We'll see. That fight can be annoying in the same way the Hag fight was annoying, but it was pretty doable. Hospitalian. Arbalist. Bishops. These are... I don't think I want to go through each individual change to each of the mobs. We'll see it as a whole when we play it. But if I'm understanding the general theme here, it is a nerfing of the enemies. Although the Knight just got stronger. Increased. Well, that's actually not a nerf. These are buffs. I might be wrong then. Oh, these are buffs. Buffs to the Tangle, right? It's nice. Good. What do they do to the Dreaming General? So this is the layer boss for the... I think it's the Tangle. Okay, HP reduced. Damage increased. Bleed. Bleeds are scary on this boss. Or being added to stuff, rather. Nightmare damage increased. So they buffed General. General was the easiest, for sure. But it was easy because his mechanic was the simplest. It was still a DPS race. So this might be really scary now. The Taproot can no longer be affected by non-resistible debuffs, such as tracking shots, dodge prevention. I don't know if that matters at all. I thought it was going to tell me the Taproot could no longer be tapped by zero damaging abilities, but it's not that. Okay. All right, Pillagers. Look like they're getting pretty significantly buffed. That's another way to up the difficulty, is to reduce the spikiness of cultists and boss, but increase the difficulty of trash. If I see that across all their stuff, that's pretty reasonable too. Man, it's hard to just process so many changes on so many different units and get a sense, besides just the direction. Carrion Eaters can now be encountered in the sluice, okay. All right. Changes. Oh, the Shambler. He's become much more powerful. Just what we needed. Fights with the Shambler trigger guaranteed shuffle on combat start. Fights with the Shambler reduce your torch to 1. Surviving a fight with the Shambler will restore your torch to 100. The Shambler now receives significant bonuses to damage and speed if you bring the Shambler spawn pet to the fight. That's not cool. If you just happen to use the Shambler spawn pet, you get screwed. That's not cool at all. HP increased. Spawns with dodge. Bleed resist increased. Blight resist increased. Odorous advancement dot is bigger. Oh no. I mean, they loved how scary the Shambler was in game 1, clearly. And this is a desire to get this Shambler terrifying again. Which is good. The Shambler should be terrifying. He was a boogeyman of Darkest Dungeon 1 for sure. And seeing him get farmed in Darkest Dungeon 2 has been sad. Alright. Tentacles. Nastier. Well, faster. More resistant. Speed buff decrease, so they don't grow quite as quickly in speed. Wriggling Feast now heals the Shambler for a static non-scaling amount on a successful hit against a target with combo. That ain't cool. We do not want Tentacles healing Shambler. Alright, I'm looking forward to these Shambler fights now. They're going to be miserable. It'll be painful to learn again, I guess. That'll be fun. I'm glad to see Shambler buffs. Okay, Confession bosses. Shackles of Denial. Okay. Fix some bugs. Paralyzing Fear no longer causes stun if 2 or less heroes are remaining. That's pretty nice too, I guess. This is some chance of winning with low numbers of heroes, all right? Obsession. Added buff to Focus Fault. Apply to attacker when crit. Combo when attacker has no focus tokens. Added buff to Focused Fault. Apply to attacker when crit. Combo when attacker has no focus token. Okay. So this is the off attack on the eyeball boss that doesn't target the focused character. And when it doesn't target the focused character, it's going to apply a combo point on crits. I don't know what its combo payoffs are, but that's not good news for the player for sure. Suppress will only be used when the hero party has 2 or more combo tokens rather than a random chance. Okay. Suppress will only target heroes with combo tokens and no focus tokens. Okay. Reduce the number of debuff tokens supplied by Suppress. Okay. So change this fight a little bit. So now there's going to be some threat to your other characters. Probably because the boss was too easy with guard, if I had to guess. But maybe not. Cloistered Eye won't grow to max size in round 1 or 2. Cloistered Eye speed reduced from 12 to 8. So you have to spend more rounds early setting up for it. So more stress and more damage on the primary target, I guess. Okay. What else? General string fixes and improvements. Good. Skill tooltips have been updated. Nice. Skill tooltips have been updated where connected lines of triggers, conditions, effects, and buffs shared a single line. Good. It's sometimes very difficult to figure out what the skill is trying to say. They have this whole nomenclature that's about positions and targets versus attackers, etc. And it's useful, but sometimes it got a bit convoluted. So hopefully they've clarified a bit. All right, and a lot of fixes here. Anything of relevance? Fix jittery drag rotation. I mean, bug fixes, right? They're good. I didn't find any game-breaking bugs in the versions I was playing. There were some annoying things, but I can't remember off the top of my head what they were right now. Heroes run goal will now have an applied weight for path preference when moving through a region. A region with a goal to visit the oasis will have the node preference when possible at intersections. Oh, that's nice. Just a nice change to make it sensible. Alt key has been set to the default hotkey for more information button and driving story screens to match its function in combat. That's smart. Yeah. Fix to Leviathan Death Chain Capture Release Soft Lock. I didn't have that encounter. Okay. So if I had to summarize these changes, and there's a lot of them, it seems to essentially be small hero changes, except to the Grave Robber, who got a bunch of buffs. Weakening of cultists. Obsession, or rather Acts 1 and 2 are going to be easier with scaling starting at 3. Trash mobs got a big buff a small buff across the board, which is going to be a big buff. Shambler got huge, powerful changes. They've made some of the easiest boss, the general, harder. As I said, buff the shambler. They've made the academic studies more interesting, and they've tried to bring their relationship system, which was the most recent revamp of the relationship system, was pretty good. And they've tried to fix a couple of the outlier problems that showed up in there, like buffing or debuffing skills that you never use. And then they've changed a little bit of the interactions with the in-items. I think overall pretty good. I'm sure these weren't minor to create. There's a lot of things listed in here and a lot of overall changes, but they feel somewhat minor to me as a player of the game in terms of how there's not a bunch of things in there that totally shake up my understanding of the game. So my expectation is trash mobs are going to be a little bit harder. A couple of the boss fights that were really easy farms are going to be more difficult. And then cultists are going to be a little bit easier than they were before. And that we should really probably be sticking to Acts 3 and onwards if we're replaying the game for difficult content. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the patch review notes. I'm really looking forward to playing this game when it releases, and it's coming out immediately. So if you guys are playing Darkest Dungeon 2, enjoying this stuff, let me know, and I'll hopefully see you guys in stream soon.